Integrated Packaging is an urban-based corrugated packaging business that serves the consumer products industry, primarily using historically underutilized workers inside the inner city. The case is focused on our expansion decision to move into the Detroit inner city after we had been in the New Jersey plant, our first acquisition, for approximately 5 years. And we had built a sustainable, profitable business in New Jersey that was largely based on my leadership skills and styles. And it was whether or not we had the organizational capacity to expand that to a rough environment in Detroit while still maintaining the health of New Jersey.
Now, even though what you were able to accomplish with the original turnaround was extraordinary, we still identified some key weaknesses within IPC.
Jones and Smith are really struggling. Al Fuller needs to go to Detroit.
A specific recommendation that you, Mr. Fuller, do spend more time in the Detroit factory.
Really what they need to do is sort of build the culture first.
You would run into the same problem of shifting any sort of curriculum or paradigm in an academic institution. Things have been done one way for a long time, and you're basically saying, do it this way, do it a different way. So I think, breaking the pattern is probably the hardest part of it. Two, it's making the value proposition to faculty on why it's essential for them to use a case like IPC. And my personal thought is that the way to make that value proposition is not through an argument of corporate social responsibility, but to make the argument through, oh, by the way, 90% of the cases that you teach, the subject is a white male. Increasingly, your student body is more diverse. Increasingly, or likewise, increasing numbers of your students are not going to Fortune 500s, but they're going to medium-sized companies, or they're becoming entrepreneurs. You have very few cases in your case collection that is appropriate to giving your students that kind of background. Three, the workforce that your students are going to be dealing with are increasingly non-white, particularly as we enter a much more globalized economy. Your cases do not talk about what it's like to actually work with an increasingly diverse workforce. And I think the IPC case, if you pitch it from those cross-cutting business perspectives, I think that makes a much stronger argument as opposed to this is somebody who's doing something with a double bottom line. I think it's a byproduct. I don't think it should be the first line of attack.
One thing our chapter tries to focus on is not just environmental sustainability, but also social sustainability, and making sure that employers organize their businesses in a way that respects and appreciates and engages their employees was very meaningful and valuable for us. It's something that we, as Hans mentioned, that we discuss within our program and within our organizational behavior classes, and that element, being able to capture that social sustainability, really was intriguing to us.
And also I think it's something that's very important that we hadn't specifically talked about in a case before. I don't think there's a lot of cases out there that address both the functional aspects of business, such as being profitable, or the organizational behavior elements, as well as the slow wage worker and the CSR element. So this was a really unique case, and it's great that we were able to successfully incorporate it into our curriculum.
Had a step-by-step kind of phased process, and one was really capturing support at the mission and at the vision of this program and the vision of our curriculum change. Not necessarily going right in with here's the cases that we want to implement, but also just letting them know here's the topic and the subject matter that we want to make an impact in, and securing that support and having them actually draft letters of support for us as part of the wave of the competition with the first round was a great way to capture that support, and then allowed us to go back and have one-on-one meetings with the faculty members to understand both our interests but also the gaps in their curriculum that they wanted to fill. And so we really understood a need that they had and really worked to find a niche for this case and cases like this within their curriculum.
I think a key learning for me was that it was more than just getting new cases in a few classes. We saw an opportunity with some of the classes that were maybe less case-oriented, such as a financial accounting class or maybe an economics class, that we could talk to those instructors and still have their buy-in and support on integrating this topic and talking about things that the net impact really supports. And so whether that be just through another project that they're doing or having, just orienting one of their class discussions around those topics, not necessarily just a case, was a great learning for us that it can be more than just, okay, here's our goal of 2 cases, we got those integrated and now we're done, but that you can continue to take that further.